the signals for the Baltimore Colts. Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. Amici scores.
It's amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California has won the big game.
1 second left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
This is Phil Steele.
This is Mike Burnham.
This is Wes Durham.
This is Mike Ashley.
Hi, this is Chuck Foreman, number 44 of the Minnesota Vikings.
Woo, mercy, this is handsome Jimmy Vane, the Boogie Woogie Man.
This is Coach Fry with Virginia Tech Football, and you are listening to Big Dog Sports Talk.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Okay, let's do it.
You're in the doghouse with Rick Watson on Big Dog Sports Talk, presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Join us in the Family Fencing Studios and chime in on the McClellan Chiropractic chat line. He's keeping cool with help from Little River Heating and Air, but this show is straight fire. And now, the big dog, Rick Watson.
Rick Watson's got the mic, he's the big dog king. Cover sports so sharp, it's a New River thing. Virginia Tech fire, rapid pride too. Every stat, every play, he's bringing it to you. He's got that voice, deep as the valley, breaking it down, no dilly, no dally. Big dog sports talk, feel the bark. Got the scoop, faster than a sprint, calling plays like a coach, every word's a hint. From the courts to the fields, the stories unfold. Rick's play-by-play, worth its weight in gold. With a laugh and a growl, he'll pull you in. Big Dog's podcast, let the games begin. Big Dog Sports Talk, feel the bark, feel the bite.
Hey, good morning. How are you? It is Monday here on the program. Hope everybody's doing okay, wherever you may be. Hit us up in the McClellan Chiropractic chat room or on our professional door text line, 391-0788. Coach Elmo going to join us coming up at 7. Jonathan Sweet from Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment, and Todd Grantham today. What's going on, T-Bird? What's up, Prometheus? Stephen, how are you? It's a Reaction Monday here on the program. Getting caught up on our professional door text line here. How's everybody doing? How was your weekend? It was a little brisk. It was a lovely Sunday, but the weather was a little brisk, say the least. Graduation at Radford University, the athletics graduation ceremony went wonderfully on Friday. And now we'll head into students being gone out of the New River Valley, or at least down in Radford. Not in New River Valley because Tech goes this weekend. But it was good. It was good. Last home events for the spring come up this weekend. Radford baseball against Longwood. So if you haven't been out to Williams Field, come see us. Come hang out. Friday at 6, Saturday at 4, Sunday at 1. I'll be in the press box. You can just stick your head up there and give me food. Whatever might be on your mind. And we're supposed to have a little better temperatures this week, I think. Yeah. Rain Wednesday and Thursday. Heavy rain Thursday. And then in the low 60s, though, for the weekend. So nothing great yet. We're still waiting to come out of this kind of fog of a weather weekend. It's just not there yet. We're getting there. Thank you, Alice. Appreciate that. Please subscribe, like, and share the channel. We need it. That'd be great. So we're going to talk to Jonathan Sweet about lots of stuff, get you caught up on what's going on with Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Marvelous things, to say the least. Not much happening this weekend, but yeah, it was. It was kind of highlighted by the Kentucky Derby. That was cool. You had a horse that was dead last. I mean, dead last, heading into the final quarter mile, and then all of a sudden, boom, like it shot out of a cannon, and then it's gone. It's absolutely gone. And exciting stuff. First female trainer to ever win the Derby. So it was good. It was good. Love the Derby. Man, it didn't start till 7 o'clock. About 7 o'clock. It gets longer and longer and longer. The pregame, if you will. I didn't watch any of that. And I thought I had missed it. It was about 6:50. And I said, oh, crap. Did I miss the Derby? And I turned on check the start time, 6:57. I'm like, oh, okay. Wild scene. Did you see when they were trying to load the horses? And I don't know the horse by name, but the horse reared up, threw its rider, and then just took a nasty, like a suplex, landed right on its back. It rolled over quickly, nearly rolled over on the rider. And I think about him because his dream was destroyed, right? They scratch the horse. They bring vets out there. They don't have much time, right? Because you're getting ready to load. And as soon as they go in, man, they're gone. So they brought veterinary. They tried to they just had to scratch him. You didn't know what he may have done to himself. So I've not seen that. I have not seen that. You could see how upset the jockey was. 155,000 people, they estimated, at Churchill Downs. Wow. It's a cultural event. It's not just a horse race. It's a cultural event. But, yeah, that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. And the young woman who the trainer seemed very grateful, just in awe. She's sitting there watching, and he showed her reaction. Her horse is in last. And then all of a sudden, here comes her horse, man, and just blew him away. I always get a little nervous at the beginning because they come out of the chute and they're all bunched up and they're banging into each other. And we're like, oh, please don't go down. Please, please. But that was cool. That was cool. And that was about it. That's about it this weekend. We got baseball going on. Mini camp, rookie mini camp. Everybody tries to make every little thing political. So Fernando Mendoza had his The rookie quarterback, the number 1 pick for the Raiders, said, and of course he's being baited by one of the media members. Hey, you're going to the White House to celebrate Indiana. Well, if it falls on this date, I won't be able to go because I'm last on the depth chart. It doesn't look good for the number 1 pick to miss rookie minicamp, right? Makes complete sense. He's not just putting on airs. And immediately the media, who of course absolutely despises the president, started saying, "Oh, look at that! Fernando Mendoza going to duck Trump." I'm like, that's not what he's doing. If anything, a lot of responsibility, I thought, there by the guy. You could tell he was being genuine. I think he even said normally he would go, right? But if I'm the Raiders and I'm Raiders fans, I'm even more excited about this guy. Very cerebral, the way he thinks about stuff. No, I don't want to miss my first day of rookie camp. No, I'm not going to do that. From the Kentucky Derby, where Golden Tempo pulled off the biggest come-from-behind ever seen, to Palm Coast, where Ole Morris is ready for the Big Dog Reaction Monday routine. Wow. BDST is live and online. Nicely done, Morris. That's strong intro game here on a Monday. Dad always cooked T-bone steaks with mushrooms, and Mom made a salad for the Kentucky Derby. That's cool. I always watched it with my dad. We didn't really do any stuff like that. That's cool though. But we always watched the Kentucky Derby. We had horses on the farm and stuff, and so you're kind of familiar with them. And so that was cool. I still don't feel comfortable drinking stuff with the camera on, even though it's water now. It still bugs me. Marty and Rag scheduled for Wednesday, by the way, here on the program. You don't want to miss that one. Marty Smith and Steve Ragsdale. Coach Rags doing fine after his oral surgery. He reassured me he's good to go. So that'll be fun, as always. Coach Elmo will now be joining me at the Blacksburg Country Club, Blacksburg Sports Club, having a meeting, and I got invited. Coach Foster is going to be speaking, and I'll be there with Coach Elmo and Louise Baker. Now there's a dynamic trio right there. But I think Coach Elmo, since word got out he wanted to go, he gets bumped up to Bud Foster's table. We'll talk about that. And when we have Todd on, I want to ask him about this, what rookies go through now, like in the NFL, how the way the game changes immediately, and you're in these camps and you're showing up. What are you looking for as a coaching staff, and how do these guys have to get acclimated? But no, I didn't think anything of the Mendoza thing. Somebody was asking me, a couple people asked me on our professional board text line. I'm like, oh, the guy's pretty upfront. If anything, I don't believe that. Like if you're a fan of the Raiders, you have to be even more impressed. I think that guy's going to take over leadership of that team. I'm still not sure he's going to start immediately. I'm going to hold on to my theory. He might. He could. But it feels like Kirk Cousins being brought in as a mentor is just the perfect scenario for him. So we'll see how it all plays out. So we'll have all that for you. Virginia Tech gets a commitment. Let's see here. What's the kid's name? DeMarcus Brown, a 3-star receiver. He was committed to Virginia, and Tech got him to flip. So what this means, people don't want to, I don't know why. People seem so dismissive over the truth about what goes on now with filling your roster. I don't understand it. We've been handed this new way of doing things. We don't like it. It's all about money. It's all about pay for play. It's all about your budget to bring in players. Freshmen are getting pretty large salaries to come in and play. This isn't, I saw an article how high school kids are starting to hire more and more agents to try to get theirs before they get into college. So with this kid, it's pretty clear what happened. People are trying to say, oh, look at James Franklin. He's cooking. Well, I'm sure he had some influence, but let's be honest, whatever Tech offered the kid, who had been a Virginia commitment for some time, was better than the deal he was getting. I'm sure his agent probably reached out and said, hey, if we can get more money here, let's talk. And so he talked, visited with Franklin, and boom, he flipped. Doesn't get a whole lot simpler than that. And people get so touchy about things. It's just, I don't know why they think it's different for the school that they root for. No, it's not. It's not. That and the whole, it's amazing. So right after the draft, and we even talked about, it's not even a big deal. Tech was 3-9. So I put up a graphic. It was pretty interesting about the schools that did not have any draft picks, because I thought there was some interesting, it wasn't even necessary. Tech and UVA were both on there, and I knew that would draw some interest. But the fact that like Wisconsin and Purdue and Syracuse, there were a lot of schools that didn't have draft picks. And it is a fact that Tech did not have anybody drafted, okay? They had 6 street free agents, whatever. Not a big deal. They were 3-9. I had so many people. It reminded me of the people that charged after me when I posted 2.5 months before it happened that James Franklin would be the new head coach at Virginia Tech, telling me I need to do my research. How can someone post something this wrong? Tech had several players drafted. And I'm like, no, they didn't. What are you looking at? So then you challenge them back. Okay, cool. You say I'm wrong. Show me a draft list where somebody was drafted. And then they throw in the, well, Mansour Delane is ours. He was for 3 years. Yeah. But he was drafted from LSU. You might personally believe that he's Virginia Tech's, and that's perfectly fine. I personally believe that Carleek Jones is Radford's. Hell, he was with us 4 years. But you know where he spent his last year? With Louisville. So we don't get credit for it. In our annals, we take credit for it, but that's not the official word. But people got all sensitive and touchy about that. It was just insane. UVA fans too. Well, we had Malachi Fields for 3 years. Okay. Nobody's saying you didn't. The graphic stated that no one was drafted from this list of schools. That's indisputable. Am I wrong? I mean, it's not even a big deal. Who cares? It was interesting to me that so many Power 4 schools didn't have. That was the whole point of mine. And Tech and Virginia were included. If anything, it was more of a surprise to me Virginia didn't have anybody drafted since they actually played in the ACC title game. Yeah. Yeah, I know that, Prometheus, but this kid went to Tech because he got more money. I mean, he was at Virginia, stated how happy he was with Coach Elliott, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's just happening. Again, it's just the way it is. It's business now. So we'll see. And it's not like he's going to a coach that has had a long history of developing wide receivers. Be different if he was going to a guy that had coached at a school that was producing first round. You know what I'm saying? So everybody's got their hand out. Everybody. And sure, there's going to be anomalies. Some parents care about other things, but they still want their kid to take advantage of the opportunities. Now, I'm never going to ask Dwight the question what Isaiah got to go play down in Louisiana. I'm not going to ask him that. It's none of my business, right? It's nobody's business. But I'm sure it did play a factor, right? If you're going to turn down a lot more money somewhere, then you must have really had a negative vibe toward that place. But again, nobody's blaming anybody. This isn't like an accusation. I'm not even blaming the kid who flipped. Good for him. If he had a better opportunity, good for him. That's where we are now, right? We'll see if he ends up developing into anything. I get texts, hey, you don't seem to get too excited about high school recruiting. No, I don't. Not anymore. Now, if they hang around, good, man. I hope they hang around Blacksburg and develop. I hope they stay, like so many people just want to believe is going to happen blindly. I hope they stay 3 years and wait their turn. That's ideal, right? That's what you want to do. We'll see if that continues to be a trend that's actually reality here in the next 2 to 5 years, because I don't think anything's going to change other than the eligibility or the 5 years. I don't know about the hopping from school to school. We'll see about that. The first thing they're going to do is approve 5 years to play. So none of this going to the NCAA and trying to get 6, 7, 8 years. That's not going to happen. So I think the 5-year plan will pass. Now, the next thing is going to be what? Are you going to hold a kid accountable to 2 years at least if he signs a contract to play? When will they address that? I don't know. They're probably going to ease into one they think's a layup first. The 5 years to play feels like that's going to be one that won't be contended with. That won't be a fight in the courts, I don't think. So they get that one done. They take a deep breath. And then maybe they start looking at universities or these programs being a little more protected. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But I don't see sweeping change like we want. It got so out of control so quickly, and now I'm reading about these high school, so many more high-profile high school kids are part of these agencies that are also representing college kids. The agency representation front for amateur athletes has just absolutely exploded. It's crazy. It's crazy. Just hearing our coaches talk about it around Radford. This is just Radford, and not even talking about basketball. And it's not even in the sports that make money. It's happening everywhere. One of the bigger ones is soccer. Men's and women's soccer, to play American college men's and women's soccer, has gotten crazy how expensive it is, because especially with all the influx of international players. I mean, and a lot of it has to be that way, right? Sometimes at schools you get a lot more, you get credit for the international experience, bringing a kid over to get their education and so forth here domestically. It is crazy. It is crazy. So, yeah, it's not just football and it's not just men's basketball. I think sometimes we forget some of these other sports. Tennis is taking a beating all the way across the country, many, many programs. I think we're up to about 20 programs that have been eliminated over the last 2 weeks. So now you're starting to see budgets. Now you're starting to see long-term things start to adjust. There'll be a lot more of this. And I'm thinking that that's the only thing that's going to change much. If we start seeing so many programs and maybe even higher profile programs, and I'm not dissing any of the tennis programs, but if you get up into the softballs of the world or the baseballs, things like that, if this thing starts to creep on up, I mean, that might force some momentum toward the salary cap that I know everybody wants, that I don't see coming anytime soon. But over the weekend, we had an interesting quote here. I'll make sure I get it right so we don't get it wrong, because we don't like to get things wrong. We want to be factual, unlike most folks who talk about crap. We're not always right at all, but at least I want to be factual. Kyle Winningham said this. This is the new Michigan coach, the Utah coach who had so much success at Utah, and he kind of fell right into Michigan's hands, right? He said he thinks up to 15 schools will have over $50 million rosters. He says after the 2027 recruiting cycle. I think we might get there going into 2027. But then again, he's talking about the 27 class is coming up. He says there are a few schools that can weather that, but not many at all. So it's already unsustainable for most schools, and it's only going to get more so until we come up with a model that provides some guardrails and works for everyone. It's so easy to say. You know, you're at Michigan too. He can make these comments, and he may honestly feel that way. I think he's a good dude. He's a hell of a football coach. I mean, Michigan fans should be just elated. But he's at Michigan, so he can talk about the system, and he can complain about the system. And then he knows he's still got the blanket of Michigan resources around him, kind of like what Franklin had at Penn State. But when you have a guy like that, the other side of it is when you have somebody like that and they're talking about this openly, imagine that. Just put that in perspective for a second. $50 million. And this is just football. He's not talking about anything else. Over $50 million is about to become the norm to buy your football roster every year. Let that sink in a little bit. Right? That blows my mind to think about where these budgets start, and then you already have to go, okay, well, we know we have $50 million we're going to have to give the football players. That's mind-blowing to me. Even in the Big Ten and the SEC, that's mind-blowing. Imagine the other two leagues that don't produce the kind of media rights revenue, the ACC and the Big 12. I keep seeing all these things pop up too on X. They keep saying, hey, the ACC and the Big 12 should just go ahead and merge. What? I don't know how that would help. I don't know how that would help. I mean, in the ACC, there are probably what? If you looked at it from top to bottom, who are the 8 most marketable brands in the ACC? What would you have? Okay, I'm going to do this off the top of my head. Miami, Florida State, Clemson, North Carolina. I would throw Virginia Tech in there, especially with Franklin there. All right, there's 5 right off the bat. Pretty easy. Who would be the other three? Louisville? I know they have a lot of money. Would you throw Louisville in there? Duke because of basketball. Okay. Nobody in the Northeast, right? You're not going to count BC. You're not going to count Syracuse, SMU, possibly. Throw SMU in there. That would be your 8. Because you're not going to have Wake. You could argue maybe, okay, let's throw NC State in there. Let's throw 9 in there. There's 9 schools. That's almost a conference. Now look at the Big 12 in football. How many, I don't know how many. I just don't know how that would help either league. Because then you're going to double the amount of marketable teams, sure, but then you're also going to double the amount of teams that aren't marketable. Yeah. So, no, I don't think the answer at all is for that league to merge, those 2 leagues to merge. So then you're going to have, 30 teams, 35 teams, whatever it would be. Why would you do that? That doesn't make any sense. Somebody said 4 divisions. Okay. You think TV networks are going to fall over themselves? Besides, you can't stop other schools here pretty soon from leaving. The last purge is coming. Well, you're right, T-Bird. Football is the biggest revenue producer, but is that enough? It's kind of like Jay Pearson, whose comments, I don't know if he still understands how negative that came across, right? Yeah, we just set a record. We need more. More. How much? I don't know. Just more. Give us more. Damn it, give us more. So it is the highest revenue producer, but I think that's what Coach Willingham was. I think that's what he was saying. Hey, look, we're at Michigan. We play in a big boy conference, and we are big boys. We're Michigan football. We are one of the blue bloods of the sport. And if we start getting up to $50 million, that's not sustainable even for us. Now, I don't know whether he's just trying to be coy because he knows he's got it good. I don't know. But the money has to run out. And I think to blindly just assume people are going to be able to give money going forward like they are and like they have is just, it's ridiculous. It is. You're right, T-Bird. It is. It's the biggest use of money. It is. It's the most expensive. It produces the most revenue, 100%. And it is by far the most expensive. Absolutely. So, it is what it is. Tech, which I know they already are very well aware of what's going to happen in the next 2 to 3 years, has to figure out where it's going to position itself because there will be another purge. I believe those two leagues are going to lead the breakaway. I believe the Big Ten and the SEC have set the stage. There's one more big TV negotiating deal coming up. We're going to see numbers that we never imagined we would see. We think they're big now. I put out this graphic too, just to show you why that the Big Ten has done. Listen to this. And this is Whittingham saying this. The Big Ten distributed $1.37 billion in revenue to its member schools, $73 million to each school just out of its revenue. Of course, television being a large part of that, what they got in the college football playoff. NCAA basketball tournament. So schools are starting out their new fiscal with $72 million in hand. So if Whittingham's right, and you're going to start spending over $50 million for your roster, that's a big chunk of that already. And then you remember the graphic from Rutgers saying how much money it's lost since it's joined the Big Ten. And then they said they were $78 million specifically in debt in athletics. But the thing about Whittingham is, and what is his salary? And this is the other side of this. He's going to make $8.3 million a year. And this is what Christopher Lester always talks about. So he's making $8 million a year. What about that, Coach? What about your salary? What about the salary of your assistants? I mean, sure, $50 million is ridiculous to think about paying an entire football roster. But what about what your coaching staff is making? Am I right? So that gets ignored. He didn't talk about the coaches' salaries. And no matter who comes in to play football, none of them is going to make $8 million a year. I don't know what the highest paid guy is now. 6, 5, so who knows? None of the numbers are real anyway. And that's the other aspect of this. None of the numbers are actually legitimate. It's kind of like movie budgets. Like Disney always lies about its movie budget because they know they're not going to make it up. They're spending way too much money to make movies. So a movie may make $500 million in the theaters, but you only get to keep about 30% of that. You got to share it amongst the distributors in the theaters and then marketing. So if you're going to have a total budget of 500, 800 million, you're going to have to make like more than twice that to make any money. Like this Doomsday movie that's coming out later in the year from Marvel, from Disney. They're estimating that the base cost of it's going to be over $750 million to make a movie. And they have to got to pay the actors. There's like 35 main actors. They're giving Robert Downey Jr. $10 million. The directors get $10 million. So the movie's got to make almost $2 billion just to break even, I saw. So the budgets get lied about to try to look like, oh, we had success. Well, not really. Not if you're trying to make money. If you're in the business of making money, you didn't. And now we're starting, I think, to see that with the reported salaries that schools are giving, especially to football and men's basketball. Like we had toward going in. Remember, we talked about this on the show. And once again, something we've talked about, got picked up a lot. You're welcome, America. People were posting going into the conference tournaments and then the NCAA tournament. Well, here's the 20 schools that spent X amount of dollars on its roster. You have no idea of knowing. You know how I know this? Because schools do not release it. So you have some guy who's supposed to be a reporter on X saying, here are the schools that spent the most on their roster. You're like, where did this come from? And people would be asking the questions. They would never get an answer. So these are just numbers people have just come up with to create, oh, okay, well, I'll click on that then. That looks interesting. Like we don't know. How many times do we talk about it? How many times do all the tech experts who come on the show? We're not sure we don't know what the budget is. Heck, Will Stewart just said on Friday, he doesn't know what the basketball budget is for NIL, pay for play. We don't know what the football budget is. We know it's a lot. But we don't know the direct number now, do we? Have we ever been told that number? Has it ever been released? No, it hasn't. But yet, here comes the next graphic. Here's who's spending what. No, you have no idea. The only time we know is when you had, Texas Tech coming right out and saying, hey, you know what? We had $40 million in our roster. Come get it. Right? Come get it. Yeah, that's a good point, Prometheus. Yeah. Winningham, he has earned it. If that's where the salary is going to go, he's won, and he's won the right way. And, and I think that's the thing. That's the point. And look, that's the part that makes me sick too. You have 18, 19-year-old kids who haven't earned it, especially ones who are coming out of high school, making life-changing money before they even take a snap. But I still think the hypocrisy is there a little bit. Now, if he would have included what we're making as coaches, right, then you'd have more respect for him. Tebow got the guard from Elon for $19.95 from what I've heard. $23 and all you can eat Chipotle. That's what. Yeah, he also stopped by Radford too. That kid. So, in the event, another week, more ambiguity, more people complaining, and nobody doing anything about it. Kind of sounds like most things in life, right? Most things that are directed at leadership in life. Yell from the highest rooftops, but yet nobody wants to do anything. Nobody wants to mess with anything. Hey, we're not going to rock the boat. We're not going to be the first. Why should we do that? Come on, man. But it's ugly. It is ugly. Yeah, NBA playoffs. Yay. Exactly. Just no buzz in any way, shape, or form about any part of the NBA playoffs. Nothing. Other than if you watch the propaganda machine, ESPN. T-Bird says, while paying college athletes who traded dignity, honor, team spirit, and legacy for scandal, lawsuit, selfishness, and regret. Sure. Exactly, Ryan. Yeah, the attorney Ryan Pry. Programs like Arkansas cutting tennis. There's been 20 Division I tennis programs cut in the last 3 weeks. We had to get rid of ours a couple years ago at Radford. It kind of maybe flew under the radar. It was a horrible day. Nobody wanted that to happen. Was everything you see? Yeah, 1995. Yeah, and you can buy one if you order now, Tebow. You can buy one and get one free, or get one half price. It's either 95 or 99, isn't it? BDST text line sponsored by Professional Door is booming. What sports do you think will be next? I don't know. I would guess swimming and diving sports will be ones that will be attacked next, be very vulnerable. Anything that costs the most that makes the least. Right? No, there's no tennis at all, Prometheus. We now rent the courts out for people when they want to have pickleball tournaments. Then the thing about it, the courts are brand new. They were redone about 5 years ago. I mean, they're really nice. So we'll have high school tournaments if they want to come there, you know, whatever events. But no, there's no club, anything like that. And that's, you know, that's at Radford where we don't even have football. So, again, the reality of where we are is in the actions. Actions always speak louder than words. So that's why I'm still believing that at the top of the food chain, when I was told by the high-ranking official at Tech this was all money laundering money laundering scheme, easy for me to say, a couple months ago, I'm now starting to get it. Because their actions do not warrant all the panic that we are fed every single day. We are adding flag football, women's flag football. That is going to be an NCAA sanctioned sport here in a couple of years. And there is a club team that started playing this past year. And yeah, you're right. The main reason that's happening is because of Title IX issues. Correct. 100% attorney Ryan Pry. And if you don't order it now, and if you do order now, we'll give you a free one. Buy one now, get one free. Yeah, that's happening for me. This Tech's going to add it. It's going to end up being, flag football is going to end up being a sanctioned sport coming up. And the NFL has been behind pushing that. Because when they mismanage everything and turn their pro ball into a flag football game, it's happening. 3 new pickleball courts at Loving Field. Haven't seen a pickleball game yet, but have seen kids and dogs playing on the courts. Well, the sport that's named so well, I don't know why people wouldn't be out there. We want to thank the NRV Super Bowl, 540-382-5525. We're going to be over there hopefully June, July. Got to figure it out. Give them a call. Reserve your lanes, 382-5525. Sundown Electric, thanks to the Smith brothers, excellent reputation, long list of satisfied clients. They have superior craftsmanship, attention to detail, always keeping you informed of the job and the cost. Reach out to Sundown Electric. Thanks to them for their support. Bob Christ, BOBCRST11 at Gmail. ReadySetFund.com. Your organization, your school, your rec team, whatever it might be, you can raise money instantly. Call Bob. Reach out to Bob. Email Bob and let him tell you. Travis Williams and Professional Door Incorporated, residential commercial garage doors, family owned and operated, 38 years in business, right across from New River Community College. Thanks to Trav for all of his help, sponsor of our text line. National Bank, member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner, BDST here on YouTube, my exclusive banking partner. Again, if you're having bank issues, I think you should check them out. I mean, they handled my refinancing with ease, man. They took something that on the surface is going to be one of the most stressful things you go through, and they made it just simple. Awesome. He is the attorney, Ryan Pryor, BST fan question of the week. What do you want it to be this week? Be thinking about it. Let me know. 701 West Main Street in Radford, Trust and Estate Plan. Little River Heating and Air, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg, 540-553-2971. That's Charles Lee, the blue and black truck. Give him a call. We are presented each and every day by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Jonathan Sweet, who leads that directive, will join us at 7:30. We always like to hear from Jonathan. It's always a lot of energy. My goodness gracious, is there a lot of energy. Mark Hunley, McClellan Chiropractic, 155 Walters Drive. Let him straighten out your crookedness if your back or whatever might be bothering you. Let him explain how he can examine you, get you straightened out, get you on the right machine, and you'll feel like a new human being. Family Fencing, sponsor of our studios here in Reiner, familyfencingnrv.com, 540-200-8294. Thanks to Jason Green and his crew and Lawson's Mobile Home Supply. Give James a call, 540-381-8011. They're at 300 North Franklin Street, Christiansburg. And if anybody else is interested in sponsoring, please get in touch. Everyone that we have as a partner here on the program, I've been told have gotten enormous benefits for being on the show. That's right, Morris. You saw them, yeah, when you were walking by the tennis courts at the Radford Tech baseball game. Some student was talking to your mom about was a star tennis player. Yeah, it is sad, and that's one of our big. We won several Big South championships. We went to the NCAA tournament many years. Mike Anderson was the best coach in that program's history. It was almost you pencil Radford in to go to the NCAA tournament. Yeah, it's a legacy program. It was our whole department. We were just like, and that's not a decision that's made flippantly by us. That came, a little higher up. So yeah, flag football. Just another opportunity for officiating to go awry. I know several people that have moved to Pulaski County from Christiansburg because they were sick of paying town and county taxes. Yeah, I'm telling you, man. You talk about just an injection of unbelievable energy and positivity, man. Jonathan Sweet and Tim Miller have come in here and just turned everybody on its head. It's awesome. It's awesome. And we appreciate them so much being part of the program. Yeah, flag football is great for folks that don't dig concussions, torn ligaments, and broken bones. We had speaking of Pulaski, there was a Pulaski league for a while, a flag football league. We played at Calfee Park many years ago. I mean, we're talking just right out of college. And I played up there in that league. Yeah, I don't either, Prometheus. It's funny you say that. That's been my question to everybody. I'm like, where are the ladies coming from? I mean, you're not out recruiting. I don't know of one flag football program. I don't know one VHSL sanctioned flag football state championship. All right. But again, this was one of those things that was just thrown out there because it sounded good. And because it's going to give women more of an opportunity and help with a lot of Title IX issues, and it's going to be relatively cheap. People were all for it. I guess you're just going to have tryouts. But it's going to continue to build now that it's going to become, I think now that you see it become an NCAA sport here in a few years, it'll start to get sanctioned by athletic districts. Well, there you go. Attorney Ryan Pry. Maryland just added it as a high school sanctioned sport. Yep. That's right. It's going to be in the Olympics. Going to be in the Olympics. What's going to happen if we're still in this whole era of uncontrolled money and then you're going to have flag football, NIL? But I guess right now you just have tryouts. I mean, if anybody knows of any of our high schools that are, doing it in the area, let me know. No, T-Bird, it's fine. I'm not against it at all. I mean, it is what it is. Maybe it's something that will grow. They're trying to take advantage of the football fervor here in the area, here in the country, not just the area, but here in the country. And I guess they're just feeling like this will be a natural thing. But I think the only side of it, to me, it's tough when you're seeing these legacy programs being eliminated all the way across the country, and here comes a new one. But I guess they've, weighed the costs and everything. Yeah, I know there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of recreation departments that have flag football. Yeah. The Cowboys skipped flag football and went straight to powder puff over 30 years ago. Yeah, you would think for me this, and I don't know, but to think about it, it's like when you're a football player and you're going through it, or basketball, your goal is to do that going through high school. I mean, it's going to be interesting. Girls, I mean, look at the sports, right? Women's soccer, softball is exploding. I mean, and I'm all for kids playing as many sports as they can, right? Yeah. What's up, G? He's a Cowboys fan. Be nice. Please subscribe, like, and share the channel if you're new here to the chat. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know where you're going to start seeing these athletes come out. I don't know. I'm trying to think, if it falls in a season that's separate from other seasons, could you have an athlete in one sport, like say a women's track star, all of a sudden saying, "Hey, I can play flag football," because it's all about running. It's about being able to be agile and avoid some, so I don't know. I don't know where the rosters are going to come from. And I don't know how quickly it'll catch on. We'll see. Caleb Downs, he's a terrific player. I think the Cowboys, there was a rumor that came out, they wanted to trade up to get him. They thought for sure. I think it was the Giants. Somebody passed on him right above them, and they said they didn't think that was going to happen. And when that happened, they sat around the room and were like, wow, we were ready to give up this position in the draft, this extra pick or two to go move up to get him. And then he falls right to them. He just fell right to them. Best safety in the draft on paper coming out of his college career. I think it's what Dallas needed. So, yeah. You'll take another Darren Woodson, right? If that happens, GGGG. So the attorney Ryan Pry looked it up. The Olympic game will be 5-on-5. So it won't take nearly as many players as regular college football. I'm curious. Now that you're looking it up, attorney Ryan Pry, does it have like the on-field? What is it for college? Is it like 8-on-8? Like, don't need linemen? I wonder how big the roster, the on-field roster is. Who do I think won the draft? Make sure you tune in on Thursday, GGG. David Smith, our info expert, better than any of the bozos you're going to see on TV. Who won? I don't know. It's too early to say who won the draft. There were a lot of teams that had really, really good drafts. We'll know in a couple, 3 years, right? The Giants and Jets seem to have good picks early on. The Browns had a good draft. Cowboys had a good draft. Absolutely. Yeah, you don't want to miss David Smith. Check him out, 6:30 on 6:30 on Thursday. Our NFL correspondent. Let me send. I sent Coach Elmo the email, but it kicked back at me here. Make sure he gets it. There we go. I do like this about the studio. If an email does not go through on an invite, I will immediately get a, hey, that email did not go through. I am a Broncos lifer. See back here behind me? There you go. Only NFL team I've ever rooted for right there. So, had our great moments. We've had our not so great moments. Olympic rosters will be 10 players. I would assume colleges will ultimately be in the same parameter. Yeah. Or however the NFL designs it through whatever flag football academy. Yeah, I started Broncos was I want my actually GGG. My mom was a lifelong Cowboys fan going back to the 60s. My dad was a Steelers fan. I didn't want to be like either one of them, so I wanted my own team. So I picked the Broncos a couple years before they went to the first Super Bowl against your Cowboys, by the way, who Doomsday, Randy White and Harvey Martin wreaked havoc on the Broncos. Yep. Yeah, she was smartest person I've ever known in my life. My mom. Joining us now on the program is that gentleman. He's also very intelligent, and he and I now have a date in Blacksburg on Wednesday. What's up, Coach?
Hey, I look up and say, geez, 7 o'clock. I haven't gotten the email yet. I go, I'm fired.
Well, I sent it, and I got something happened. But what's great about this studio, I immediately got there's a red line that comes up, and it says, this email to your address did not go through. Send it again. I said, oh, okay. So I sent it again. There we go. So we're good. How are you doing? How was your weekend?
Good. By the way, I'm going to call you you're like a professor. I'm like in class. The first hour, I'm taking notes on all these topics you're spewing out. And, buddy, you run the gamut now. I mean, it's like I can't keep up. I got a whole notebook full. I mean, look at me. I got my pad out and taking notes.
Well, what do you think? Give us your thoughts then on some of these things we're discussing.
Well, first of all, like for the Derby, I never thought at all, because for 40 years I never even knew life existed outside of football. And then now I'm retired. I get to watch a Kentucky Derby, and believe it or not, I do like watching golf. I like the Open and the Masters.
Sure.
I like watching how each of these golfers handle and deal in their adversities. It's fascinating to me, just like baseball. You got to handle the failures to really become a great player. And the ones that handle it better is the ones that succeed. So that's why I like the golf part of it. But I did talk to for the Derby, Chuck Baker of Haley Toyota. He helps out with Greg and does the high school games of the week. Well, he's a big golf horse guy. He's into the horses. So I called him up and we were talking. We talk about once every 2 weeks. I said, all right, Baker, who do you like? And you know what he told me? Something I never realized, Rick. That's what he told me. He said, these 3-year-olds for the Derby, this is the longest race they have run to the date. Now that's a piece of fact I never realized.
I know.
So he was mentioning that, you look at those people that come out of the gate first, they ain't making it. And he said the thing you want is who's the best closer. And then my question was, okay, who's the best jockey? He's a part of it. I mean, I know the horse is the key. Can't win that Kentucky Derby with a mule, but at the same time, so he gave me Renegade. He said he liked Renegade because he thought he had the best jockey and was the best closer of the horses.
He came late. Yeah, he came on late.
Yeah, came on late. So, but I didn't realize the fact that those 3-year-olds, this would be their longest race they have run, which really made sense to me of picking this. And then what was it like? They had 20-something horses in the gate.
At first, yeah. And
then the one through the guy.
There was a scratch. And then all of a sudden, one decided to get a little antsy, and that was unreal when it jumped up and landed on its back. I'm like, oh, my Lord, what am I watching here? And,
We were all sitting there watching it. We had the same reaction. We're going, did you see that?
I know. The jockey was not happy because his chance is over because they had to take the horse out. The trainer immediately said, "No, we can't go. We can't. He may be hurt. We can't do that."
All that training and millions of dollars spent just flushed right down the toilet. That horse said, "Not today, baby. You ain't riding me today."
Man, I'll tell you what, when they were showing the crowd shots, I was thinking about that. Boy, there's a lot of money at Churchill Downs, huh?
No doubt about it.
What do you think the net worth of that crowd is? How many trillions of dollars? Good Lord.
You know, the two coaches I work with at Minnesota, the one that had ended up working with Lou at Notre Dame, John Palermo and Jim Huber, they go to the Derby every year, you know, when they were in coaching. They loved it. They said it was a great time. Really enjoyed it. Never been. One of those bucket list things, maybe.
Yeah, I haven't either.
But it was a fun race to watch.
It was, and hey, that was cool. When they showed the replay and they showed that when the horse decided, when the jockey got it, and the way the horse was being maneuvered, I thought that was just really, really cool. Really, really cool.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. Hey, I appreciate the efforts to, you know, since I was up in the air coming up anyway.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to do some fishing. Sounds like the weather's not going to be very good on Wednesday, Thursday.
No, doesn't look like it. Lots of rain.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah.
So we'll see, but I really appreciate those efforts. I hope – is Burnham going to be there? Will Mike be there?
I would say he could be. I'll tell you what, I'll ask him tomorrow. He might be there.
I'd like to see him. I look forward to seeing Bud. You know, he did such a great job when I was there with him. I mean, he was so, you know, you talk about loyalty. I mean, and all the 27 years at Virginia Tech, and he was so loyal to Virginia Tech. When Coach Beamer asked me to speak to the coaches, he was very humbled. You know, you could tell right away this guy was passionate. Really, his passion showed more than anything else. I've mentioned this to you before. My question was to him was, Coach Foster, I said, 2 years ago, you guys were really, really good on defense. And they were like playing great defense. And I said, what happened? He goes, we screwed this up. And that to me, you know, no excuses. Didn't say injuries, didn't say this, didn't say that, or not one excuse other than, you know, the evaluating of the self-evaluation. And he did use the word we, because it does take a collective effort. I've been a part of that myself.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work. And for that, I was just so impressed. I said, no, this guy and his passion is, you know, I'm sure you've heard him. You've spoken with him many times.
Yeah.
You could just feel the passion he has about the game and Virginia Tech for that matter. So he ended up, people asked me, well, why'd you leave Virginia Tech? I said, so Bud could have a great career, because he was a whole lot coach than I was. Shit. Between he and Todd Grantham, you know, it worked. They were my lifebloods there for those 2 years, and it was great. You know, he's just such a great teacher. So I'm looking forward to seeing him.
Yeah, I think no problem. And Louise really came through for us. Louise Baker, she came through. So I think they might put you at Bud's table. That's what I've been told.
You know, I just wanted to stand in the back, to be honest with you.
Foot up against the wall, smoking a cigarette. Hey,
that's my role. You know, give me a glass of wine, I'll stand in the back and just listen to the.
Now I got a feeling you'll probably end up becoming part of the event. What I'm guessing.
No, I'll walk out. That's not happening. Not my role. No, not my night. For sure.
What'd you think about Coach Whittingham saying he's looking at $50 million rosters after the 2020
It's going to happen.
Yeah, it makes sense, right?
Yeah. No, it's going to happen.
How many can realistically do that, Coach? What do you think?
Just, you know, when you start taking the top 2 to 3 schools out of each conference that have consistently, you know, won, and you look at the schools that I think when you look at the Big Ten, particularly having, coached in that conference, you're looking at schools of 45, 50,000 students consistently that major, Ohio State, for example, their graduating class, I've heard this, Rick. I don't know how true this is, but, years ago it was car dealers and bankers on the, in the SEC that was, making the money drops to the players decades ago. Now it's technological people and oil money.
Yes.
And as a generality of speaking, okay, who's got the cash? Where's the cash? Well, it's coming through technology and energy. And so, and these are the people that are graduating from these universities that have, and they're whether they played football but they attended the games and loyalties to the athletic programs. So when you look at Ohio State, you look at Michigan, and then you throw in the doctors and the lawyers. You throw that in, the lunch money crowd, as I would call it now. That used to be the crowd. Now it's a lunch money crowd. You better be graduating in technology in some form of energy. And that makes sense to me. And it's just surprising that some of those, why those California schools, you think that's the school that just blows my mind, whether it's, UCLA or Southern Cal back in the day. But when you ask the question, Ohio State, Michigan, Georgia, you could just, there's a handful of them that they really don't want the changes because they can sustain.
You've said that all along. They
don't want to change. Why would Ohio State want to change? And then now you got then what you look what Coach Signetti did in Indiana, and that blows everyone's mind. That's like blows it all up. How did they do it? In 2 years, takes them to a national championship, and undefeated. Can't say that they didn't beat anybody.
Right.
And has the Heisman Trophy winner all in 2 years. If I was him, I'd have retired.
You're done. Yeah,
that's it. I'm out of here. Because you know what? And sustaining it's interesting. I always had this question, and because sustaining programs are the most difficult. Winning is not as it's hard. It's difficult. However, you do the right things, hire the right people, get the right people in there playing and coaching them. You can win your 6, 7, 8 games. Okay. Now, I've always said this at William Mary. It was the toughest thing I've ever done in my life from a mental standpoint of challenges of the rigors of the academics here. But I've always made this statement. I used to tell my players, getting an A at William Mary was as difficult as you could ever want to try to achieve. And getting an F was no different. You had to work at both of them.
That's true. It's very true.
You got programs that are highly successful and then programs that aren't. And guess what? You got to work at both of them. And I really believe, but now how can you sustain it? You look at Kentucky, they had a little bit of a run. When I was at Purdue, Joe Tiller had a run. Barry Alvarez had a run at Wisconsin, and it all fluctuated. But Ohio State, consistent over the years. Michigan, just throw them out. Alabama, LSU, Texas A&M, a little bit of a roller coaster ride, but Texas, you look at, those are the schools. Texas, Ohio State, those are the schools. And where the Virginia Techs fall, NC State, Georgia Tech.
Yeah, right.
That's the question. But it's tough duty. Yeah, no, they're gonna have $50 million rosters. Make no mistake about it. It's gonna happen.
And I've seen a lot of former coaches say that, let's just be honest, what was going on behind the scenes then that was illegal, that some of these schools are already spending millions of dollars for their rosters. They may not have advertised it and hush money, but it's not like it's not a different way of going about doing it. It's just how much more money is now allowed to be spent.
Well, the only thing I will say, back in the day when it was, I guess you refer to as cheating, which is now legal. But back in the day, I will say this, Rick. We signed some damn good players. Don't forget, everybody on the roster has money. Everybody, like Todd was saying, right? Yeah. If you're on scholarship, there's no more walk-ons. They upped it to 105. So the 105th kid's getting money.
Getting money.
And he's probably a second, third stringer. Maybe not even playing, but he's getting money. You know that when back in the day when you look at the Oklahoma teams with Barry Switzer, Alabama, Charlie Pell at Florida. I mean, I'm telling you, go back and watch those teams and watch those cats. Wilbur Marshall. Okay. All the great running backs at Oklahoma. Are you kidding me?
Bear Bryant bought all of his rosters. Sorry, folks, but he did. He did.
Yeah. No, I mean, he was just like, I'll not mention the coach, but once he made the statement that our doctors and lawyers are not going to be outbid by anybody else who's out of state.
That's right.
And the rule was as long as you kept it in state, your percentages of getting turned in if it went south were slim to minimal. Once you went out of state, where the loyalties weren't as great, the further away from you went, that if that boy wasn't playing or it was going south, that's you look at SMU, a lot of their problems started with a kid they recruited from Pittsburgh, from the documentary, the 30 to 30.
Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah.
So that did hold true. Keep it in state and the loyalties will prevail, even if it went south. So, but now it's a wild, wild west. I wish these coaches, it's sad, all these coaches and teams that went on probation, and now for what they're doing now, and they were on probation, bowls, scholarships taken away. Teams had to forfeit their bowls and forfeit wins and things of that nature. Now these kids are driving around in Lamborghinis.
I know.
How about that, Rick?
Insanity.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about Indiana. I want to ask you if the popular assumption is they're not going to go back to the level they were, and they may not be a national title contender. Who knows? I mean, I'm not going to put anything past that guy. But let's say they fall back to 8-4, 9-3. How do you think Cignetti, who has clearly enjoyed this limelight, he hasn't been shy about getting his press conference sound bites out there at all costs, right? How do you think he settles in to build them back? Because they're going to be a targeted team now. Do you think this was just a one-off, even though they were good and they went to the playoff the year before? Or can he
Not in this atmosphere, Rick. Not when you can flip your rosters and then everything starts with your quarterback. You could go, again, I always say this, Rick. You can have all the money in the world and you could be Colorado's got money. It's not like they're depleted. Okay. Florida State's got money. Not like they're depleted. Southern Cal's got money. And look at these. They haven't done it. They haven't even come close. Florida fired their coach. Florida State may get fired there. The portal can give it and the portal can take it away. And it all starts with your quarterback. You look at Florida State and the decisions they've made on the last two quarterbacks they've had. An absolute disaster.
Yeah, that's a great point.
They took a kid from Oregon State that the coach did not take with him to Michigan State, who bailed at Clemson. He was
bailed at Clemson, right?
Because they said, hey, it's like we're paying him way too much money. He's keeping our, you think about it. Like even Todd brought up the point. All of a sudden, if you can get the quarterback from Elon and he can become your second string guy, guess what? You got a lot more money. You can find better. You can build your roster because you got more money on your roster. You put all that money into that quarterback, and all of a sudden that offensive lineman needs $40,000, $50,000 more, the one you want, and you can't get him. because you're getting outbid for him because you don't got the money because you put it all into the quarterback that just did. And then when they don't work out, Florida State, it's just you get the kid Castellano, whether you like the head coach of BC or not, think he's good or not, I don't care. He benched him.
True, he did. He
benched
invested
him.
in him, spent all that money on him, and then
put all that money into him. And the first game, he looked like $1 million, and after that, it went south. So, can Indiana do it again? Well, it all starts with the quarterback. And I'll say this. I don't know if anybody's done a better job of evaluating talent from the JMU to the kids he brought from JMU to Indiana to what he's done at Indiana in the last 2 years of bringing those kids in, because you can flip the roster where all of a sudden Indiana can go from the worst team in the history of college football win-loss record to an undefeated national championship. That's what the portal can do for you.
Right.
And guess what? You better have a staff and a head coach that knows how to evaluate players. And when you get them, they know how to coach them. It's that those two parts of the formula have never changed. Why does Nick Saban, for all those years in every place he's been, Bill Parcells, Nick Saban, Belichick, these guys, they're talent evaluators. They got the picture they want to see and how that, what they're looking for in their programs. And so he's got it. So yeah, now could he win 9 or 10 games? Yeah, that could happen. But absolutely. I'll tell you what, it's going to be, let's put it this way. If you're in the Big Ten and you're playing Indiana, years ago, you wanted to play Indiana. Hey, when I was, all the schools I coached into the Big Ten, never lost to them. Never lost to them. When I was at Minnesota, who had a bad team, we had a bad team, and we beat Indiana. Wisconsin, we beat Indiana. Purdue, huge game, we beat them. They were good, and they were close, good, tough games, but we beat them. Michigan, in all my years of career, beat them one time. One time out of the 8 times I had the chance to coach against them. There's just certain teams. You look at Miami. Okay, my experience against Miami, never beat them. Florida State, never beat them. Indiana, beat them every time.
Every time.
Beat them every time. But those things can change. You look at because of the portal. I mean, here Todd goes to UAB. I'm not speaking for them, but they had some issues. Hell, they had a stabbing on the team the year before. It was so bad.
Right, they killed their program a few years ago. Yeah,
2 years ago. 2 years ago, it was awful. It was just awful. The byproducts of losing and poor coaching and poor recruiting. It's you get to the point of situations. It's not just on the field. Your off-field situations begin to pair, stack in poor decision making. Now Todd's able to go in there. You're able to go in there instead of a two-year plan or a 3-year plan, because you got to rely on freshmen and junior college kids. Now you can dump your roster, literally dump your roster and replace it. Flip it. 30, the old ESPN 30 for 30, get rid of 30 and bring in 30. And you can do that. You can do that. And it starts with your quarterback. And all of a sudden Indiana, they get the transfer from Ohio University 2 years ago in Indiana. Kid takes him to a 10-win season in the playoffs. Then they get Mendoza, takes him to an undefeated season, a national championship, and it all starts with the pitcher. And you better be able to evaluate the right kid. Virginia Tech. Virginia, probably the best depth at quarterback since I've been doing this, I've been watching Virginia Tech recruiting for 10 years for Greg Roberts with the radio show. Been doing it diligently, studying them, coming out, evaluating them. I've never seen it ain't about the depth, it's about the competition. Competitions was my best coaching aid. And if the coach becomes the competition, you got a problem.
Yeah, right.
Right? You know that, Rick. All of a sudden, competition for the player is through the coach.
That's right.
Well, there's going to be conflicts. All right. Now you can have player-to-player competition like the two corners I had at Wisconsin. One was the field corner, the other was the boundary corner. Well, they would compete with themselves of who's making the most tackles, who's making the most interceptions that week. They were very competitive within themselves with practice and games because we didn't have depth. So the competition became within. But all of a sudden, you look at Virginia Tech's quarterback roster, they're going to compete.
Oh, there's no doubt. Yeah.
Brunkmeyer, he's not handed that. You better compete because he's going to have competition. And same with Indiana, and same with Virginia. Got the kid from Missouri, got the kid from Pitt. Whether he's good or not, hey, it ain't like some high school freshman. And then they signed a high school freshman at Virginia out of North Carolina, who I really like. Just like the kid that Tech got from California as a freshman. I really like him. Now people say, if they one of them's they're going to get in the portal next year. Well, maybe then they get told to go in the portal because they can't play.
Yeah, so they found out they can't play.
Kids from Pitt can't play. Hey, move on. I'm going, and you can do that. It's not a problem. It's not even, not a problem. So sorry to digress a little bit, but back to Indiana.
No, it's great, man. It's good stuff.
Yeah, I think they're here to stay. Because of what he does, how he evaluates, and how he coaches, and his staff is a reflection of him. And he's had the same guy since JMU for the most part.
He has. He's kept his lieutenants, as they say, right? He has.
And staff continuity is still critical. You could coach Saban, he can lose guys left and right down at Alabama. It didn't matter. But there's certain programs you have to, like with George Welsh for all those years, he had a stable staff. Frank Beamer's staff was very stable. And then towards the end, next thing you know, his staff is flipping.
Yeah.
Kavanaugh, Billy Height, Brian Steinspring, all of a sudden the staff's flipping. And next thing you know, there was irregular recruiting.
Yeah.
That's what happened. Happened to Jimmy Grove at Wake Forest. All those guys, he came with him from Ohio U to Wake. And then, he's winning an ACC championship, beating Florida State 2 years in a row, beating Clemson 2 years in a row, and going to the Orange Bowl. Wake Forest, back in the 90s. But his staff, he started losing his staff, and the recruiting went haywire, and the evaluations, and that's the
gist of it. Yeah.
Evaluation and the recruiting and the coaching. Who does it any better than Frank Signetti right now?
Yeah, that's true.
And that's a standard that he's kept. And so now he's screwed. He has really screwed it up for a lot of college coaches.
Yes.
He's going, what? Indiana? Are you kidding me?
And then he gets $30 million from Mark Cuban, right? Here you go, Coach. Here you go. We want you just to spend this on players. Enjoy. Have a great time.
Yeah. You're going to hey, it's like the stock market. You got good stock.
Well, great discussion as always, Coach. And I look forward to seeing you on Wednesday evening now, huh? How about that?
One thing, Rick, real quick, it's really interesting. You're talking about the draft choices. I've never seen it where no major college university in the state, a player did not get drafted. That's first.
Zero. I know.
If you look at the players, there were 9 players from the state of Virginia that were in the draft. A lot of Wake Forest, Indiana, Duke, kids that played in the state. Now, they may have gone to a school and transferred to the final destination, like JMU to Indiana, but they were players in this state. There were 9 of them. And, you look at the draft, it still comes back to this, Rick. How to win the national championship, coach in the state of Ohio, coach in the state of Georgia, coach in the state of Louisiana, coach in the state of Alabama, the state of Florida, Texas, and why California ain't done it still beyond me. But those are the states that football is very important. Yeah. And for years, you look at the draftees over the years, and you're going to find those states are going to That's why Nick took the LSU job. At one point in time, LSU, this high schools produce more NFL players than any other state in the country, and that's why I took the job. One of the reasons.
Absolutely.
So, well, Rick, I appreciate it. Thanks
man.
for all your efforts. Look forward.
No problem, man. Looking forward to it.
And tell Louise. Look forward to seeing her.
I will. I'll pass it along.
Thank you so very much. I hope it wasn't a pain in the butt for you.
No. She got back to me within the hour and said, "No big deal. We're going to get you right in, Coach." So
yeah, I mean, I need to at least come shake your hand and meet you. So what the hell?
That's true.
But I appreciate. I look forward to it, Rick.
Yeah, man. We'll see you then. Looking forward to it, Coach.
Cool. Take care.
All right, brother. There you go. It's Phil Elmassian, the best. We love Coach Elmo. Man, he's good. Good topics. He can talk about all sorts of things, right? Doesn't matter what it is. And he's always usually right on the money. So it's interesting. Good thoughts. And all those states he mentioned, by the way, are going to supplement high school kids who are now getting paid. Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you think it's not, you don't understand what's going on in some of these highbrow places. All right. We're rolling along here on a Monday. Todd Grantham joins us coming up at 8, the defensive coordinator down at UAB. We'll ask him about some of these things as well that came out of the weekend. We mention each and every day that this program is presented by Pulaski County Sports Entertainment. And joining us now, speaking of energy and speaking of positivity, there's that guy, Jonathan Sweet, who, of course, is Pulaski County's Chief Administrative Officer and Chief Economic Developmental guy. What's up, brother? Good morning.
Good morning, Rick. Why you got to do that to me? Why you got to put me on after
Coach Elmo?
Yes, who I'm just listening and gleaning all this wisdom and sage knowledge, and then you're gonna have me on.
No. It goes right together. Well, how was your weekend? I know everything's clicking at the track. Boy, I tell you what, we've had a lot of interviews on this program. We talked to Stacy Compton a few weeks ago. I've seldom talked to anybody who's generally excited about building this and the opportunity that he had to come here and to get that speedway back up to what we know it's supposed to be, right?
It's back, yeah. When you have racing, you can feel it all over the New River Valley. Because you literally can feel it all over the New River Valley.
That's true.
You can hear it. We call it thunder in the mountains for a reason. You can hear it and feel it. And but beyond just the exhaust and the reverberations, there's a buzz in the New River Valley about racing again, and it's so cool. You can't go anywhere without someone talking about it, their experience, or what's coming next. Or it's definitely back, and Stacy's a big part of that.
Yeah, he's done a terrific job, and I bet you every week, Jonathan, I get at least 2 or 3 people say they were at the race this past weekend talking about the experience. So they're coming. I know the crowds have been very consistent as well. They've been very happy with the response. Been a lot of people there at these races.
Yeah, that whole bring it back and they will come. It was true, and there were folks that had not skipped a beat with a 2-year hiatus and came back with a lot of passion and excitement about it. And I think they're going to be committed to racing because, firstly, it's done very well there, right? It's a very competitive track. IHRA is a reputable organization. And 2, there's not a better family entertainment right now anywhere than what they're producing at the Pulaski County Motorsports Park.
Well, I think you're exactly right. And you're getting ready to segue into the spring now with Pulaski Bay. I mean, all these things are coming together, and I keep getting all these emails, all these wonderful things about what you guys have, whether it's the BMX racing, whether it's what you're doing on the river. You think about any element that's outside, right? You guys are conquering it. It's really cool. It's really cool.
If you're gonna go, you might as well go big, Rick. You go big or go home, right? And we're going big. We said we're gonna do sports and entertainment, and we meant it. And it's not just what everyone was comfortable doing and what we've known. We're branching out and really trying to elevate all of our recreation and sports and entertainment assets, including the ones we don't own, like our river and lakes, and with fishing. And we've got this outdoor kayak series that's coming up. It starts this month. It's a 3-day tourney, and GoPro is sponsoring it, and we're really excited about it. But we're excited about all the peripherals around it as well. We're we're incorporating the brewery into it, and the theater, and the festival, and there's some pre-event activities. So it's bigger than any event, is what we're trying to do here. Tim Miller and team, they're just doing a great job of really creating something for visitors to come and enjoy, but moreover, our locals, the New River Valley folks, to come and enjoy as well.
What I like about it, Jonathan, one of the things I like is so many different varieties of activities are being offered that people can think, all right, I may not be able to do that. I can't go play this, or I can't, but boy, I love to be on the river in my kayak, or I'm good at my bike, and it's like, oh yeah, this fits right into my wheelhouse. So it just immediately gets more people to get invested in it because they can go out and actually participate. The kayak adventure series, right? You just mentioned being out on the water coming up here in the middle of the month. All these things, people are out there all the time anyway, So this is great that they get an opportunity to go out and be part of that if they so desire, right? Instead of just always thinking it's got to be hard and physically assert, all that.
Absolutely. I'm so excited. My father-in-law, he's in his 70s, and he's going to be competing in one of these events, right? He's been kayak fishing on the New for many years now. So now he's like, hey, I'm going to have a chance to actually make some money on this or win a prize for this. So it's something for all ages. And we say we're doing things for the locals, we mean it. The fishermen, our local fishermen, don't have to travel to enjoy world-class activities and sports and competition. The same thing with our racers, right? We're bringing racing right here to them in their backyard to access affordably and really with class. So we're excited about all those things. We just had the drip tour here. I don't know if you heard, at the river course here in the neighborhood. Roethlisberger's son played.
Yes.
You probably heard about that. Yeah, he was here all weekend.
Jeff Beeler sent me a picture. He goes, hey, look who I just ran into. And he said, there's Ben Roethlisberger approached him because he saw the Radford Golf, was asking about the team. He's like, whoa. Stayed in the Highlander Hotel too. So
yeah, it's cool to run into Roethlisberger on the golf course.
How about that?
Yeah, but so there are those types of sports entertainment activities happening all around us. Pulaski County is really trying to fill in all the gaps, but there are already amazing things that are happening in the New River Valley in that space. So we're just trying to add to that and capitalize on it and make it affordable and enjoyable and sustainable for Pulaski County and the New River Valley.
Jonathan Sweet joining us on the program, Pulaski County's Chief Administrative Officer and Chief Economic Development Officer. Of course, Pulaski County Sports Entertainment presents this program. And I'm sure the reaction this time of year, you look around, you're always reminded how beautiful this area is. It's always beautiful. But boy, when we're getting into greeneries coming back and flowers blooming and so forth, it just continues to just evoke those reasons why Pulaski County is such a common sense area, this whole area in the New River Valley, to have something like this that's growing and growing. Because I'm sure people that have no idea what this place looks like comes here and they're just like, wow, you're right.
Yeah, I played 9 yesterday. And I sometimes, if I'm playing by myself, will meander into threesomes or twosomes. And I ran into 3 guys from Tech yesterday, some students, and got to play with them. And they were pretty good, I'll admit. And they were from New Jersey. And so I got to just talk to them about their experience at Virginia Tech and in the New River Valley here and the Pete Dye, and they love it. And some of them are going to be staying in Virginia when they're done with their school. So excited about that because they're growing heartstrings while they're here, and they're appreciating the beauty. And it's a reminder of where we live, and to hear them talk about how great it is, we know it is, but they have a different perspective when they come to our community and experience to the hospitality and the beauty of it.
Yeah. I mean, because that world seems totally different than the one that we have down here. So you're right. And they've got to say, we're never going to forget where we came from. But boy, we're glad if we have a departure, it has to be a place like here in the New River Valley. So it makes perfect sense. All right. So I have 2 text messages here on the text line. Chris asking, along with Wayne, tell us more about the Mountain X experience here coming up, because these guys both apparently are active riders. That's good.
Yes, yeah. That I'm not a big cyclist, and
I'm not either.
yeah. Don't pretend to be. I guess I could on the show, but I'm not going to try.
No, you're not.
Tim Miller, he came from Richmond, and guys in that industry knows cycling. Did the Tour DuPont here and the World Cycling Championship. Just knows all about cycling. And he's put this together in concert with some big cyclists. You need to have him on the show soon and him talk more about that and give you the details.
Yeah.
I doubt I could speak as eloquently about it as he can, but I do know that it's a 30, 50, and 100 mile treks that they have put together, and it is some of the best on off-road cycling anywhere. And this is coming from the professionals and the coordinators. And we think it's going to bring a lot of cyclists to the New River Valley. It's going to be very competitive, but it's world-class events and competition being brought to our backyard, so our folks can enjoy this type of competition without having to go, travel and spend a lot of money doing it.
That's great. Yeah, Tim, I actually spoke with him. He's going to come on, I think, early next week leading into the event. So we're going to have him on. So
that's awesome. Yeah, you guys are going to get excited. He's going to pump it up. We've got so much going on. It's hard for me to know all the details.
How can you?
All of these events, because it's racing, fishing, cycling. I mean, we've got it going on. Baseball's coming up. Yeah, a lot of good stuff.
Well, and we talked about it maybe last time you were here, but if not, you guys posted a recent update about the Sportsplex, and I get more questions about the Sportsplex here on the show than anything else. People are very excited. You guys are on time, which is crazy considering how big it is and what's going to be offered and the budget. Everything stayed on. It's such an impressive thing, and people are asking me every time they ask me a question, I see with your, what you guys are putting out for promotionally. The answer is yes. You're going to have so many different options for people to come and take part in the Sportsplex. It's going to be awesome.
I was at a picnic yesterday, and after church, and some folks came up and was like, "Tell me about it. Are we really going to be able to do?" And they went on this the list of and the answer to all of it was yes. That's a fifth of mile indoor walking track. Yes, you're going to be able to walk indoors. But it's the playground. As we were adjacent to playground, I was like, and it's 4 times bigger than that one right there, indoors. It blew their mind. So much activity will be able to take place there that we'll be able to enjoy as a community, and then because of scale, we'll be able to bring in these types of events and entertainment like the fishing and the cycling and those things, because this truly will be a world-class facility that can accommodate large scale competitive entertainment activities.
Yeah, and that's it's unreal. It's unreal. What is it? Is it 160 square feet? 160,000 square feet? Is that what I saw?
It's 165,000 square feet.
165,000 square feet, folks.
Yes.
Think about. Let that sink in.
And 30 acres. It's a 30-acre site and 165,000 square feet.
Is that all?
That's it. Yeah, for now.
For now.
What's cool is this athletic training facility. It's going to be an athletic performance training center inside of this thing as well for athletes. And as you and Coach were talking, Virginia, we need to start producing those athletes again that are going to the NFL. And we're going to have a training facility for our athletes to go and progress through the high school ranks and on into college and hopefully make that pro level. But we're not, because of lack of resources or assets or facilities and access to them, we're going to provide that. So we're excited. And this is on top of the community's weight room and cardio room and studio rooms. This is a specialized facility for training the next generation of serious athlete.
Oh, that's terrific. See, I didn't know that. That's great. So you're already thinking about that. Again, you're always thinking out of the box, but you're talking about young kids and want to get their bodies in tune. Maybe they don't have the opportunity at school to do it. They can come there, get their that's really cool. That's really cool, no matter what sport it is. Yeah.
That's right. We've got great high school training facilities. It's access to them is the challenge. This is going to provide much greater access to those facilities when they can't access the school's training facilities. So this is going to be Division I level, collegiate level training equipment. I'm talking about the center actually having half mat, half turf for
Wow.
training sleds. I mean, it's first class. We're real excited about it. We're going through some of the naming iterations, trying to figure out what we're going to name this special place. But that's just one of the many components that this Sportsplex is going to host. We talked about TrackMan and the Indoor Golf Institute, and as we watched, I got to watch middle schoolers and high schoolers from all over the country come in to and compete in the drip. Man, these kids are amazing. And we can have that level of golfing athlete coming out of the New River Valley with facilities like training facilities like this, and then world class golf courses as well with the Pete Dye and a lot of access, Draper and Thorn Springs. We've got 3 golf courses, and we're going to keep golf alive and well and thriving here in Pulaski County.
Yeah, TrackMan continues to explode, doesn't it? It's they use it in baseball, you do it in I mean, it's everywhere. TrackMan is everywhere now.
Yeah, TrackMan is a software company, and
Yep.
so it's really their proprietary software, and how they continue to just make that better and better and better, more realistic and accurate, and the tolerances they use. It's just amazing where technology is going, and TrackMan's leading it, and we're happy to be partnered with them. But we're probably gonna have some big news coming soon. We've got some major sponsors who have seen the Sportsplex, actually walked through it and got weak kneed and was like, "Oh my gosh, we want to be in here.
Awesome.
We want our name on the wall. We want our name on the court." So we're going to have some really cool announcements with major partners. I'm talking about international partners who
Wow.
want to be a part of this. It it doesn't get any bigger or better. That's the beauty
No.
of it. We've been able to capital stack and strategically finance this thing, or I should say, yeah. Well, it's not finance, not from a debt service standpoint, but just from a payment standpoint. To have a $60 million facility for fraction of that cost, and then only borrowing a little over $10 million to do it. Couldn't ask for a better financing approach, and it allows us to have something of this scale and of this quality. So, if you think about it in terms, though, you drop a $60 million indoor athletic facility inside of southwestern Virginia, and you've got one of the biggest gyms anywhere. It's an oasis of indoor competitive entertainment, programming, exposition space that no one else has.
Well, and I love it too, hearing the international interest like that. Then Pulaski County is just going to be something that's going to be seen and heard all over the world, and that's what starts getting everybody, okay, let's check this out a little bit. No matter what organizations, you're going to have folks coming to you in droves wanting to hold it into.
We're going to need more hotels, and that's where all of our partners come in, all of our neighbors. They're going to accommodate and hopefully provide some great customer service to these visitors from all over the eastern part of the country and beyond, of course.
Yeah. You're going to be like Roy Scheider in Jaws. We're going to need a bigger boat. Guys, we need a bigger boat.
We're already there. We're like, we need a bigger parking lot. This isn't going to be enough. We're working on that now. So when I say we're on budget, we're definitely on budget with the project, but we are finding that we're going to be doing some add-ons like more parking that wasn't in the original plan, but we found ways of making that work financially. So we're staying on track. This thing should be open in October. We'll be done in September. Wow. Yeah, and having a ribbon cut in October, and that's going to be fun.
From start to finish, Johnson, before we go here, what was when the idea was conceived and you went out and cut the ribbon, the first shovel went in the ground to October. What was the time? That's amazing how quickly it's happened.
So this is we tease it's been 15 years in the making. This building was looked at for this purpose about 15 years ago. It didn't work. Sports tourism and entertainment wasn't a reality back then. That wasn't understood back then. So fast forward to today, and looking at the size of this building, what makes it work is the enterprising component to it, the revenue it generates, and the residual positive benefit to the economy and the community. So it made sense. And then implementing a cigarette tax and strategically saving for this, and then working out the private equity company and the option to purchase and all of that. I mean, everything fell into place. It was a beautifully orchestrated strategy to invest in this. And then it's that whole sports entertainment component. We're actually using IHRA funds to, motorsports park revenue to help finish the construction project, as an example. I mean, this is all part and parcel of a orchestrated plan around sports and entertainment. So, but May of last year is when we had our kickoff, and we had folks tour the empty facility and show them what we were going to do. So it's been about a year since that kickoff, and here we are.
And here we are, October.
Yeah.
It's here. Wow.
I'm sorry, it might have been April. I'm sorry, it was in April that we did that. And so now here we are in May. So a little over a year. We shared it with the community, had the plans ready to show them. And then, so we're going to call it about a year and a half of elbow grease and effort to transform this building into what it's going to be.
Wow. That's impressive, man. Very impressive. Yeah. Everything about what you guys are doing impressive. So it's great. It's great. And I'm sure just listening to everything you're talking about, your weeks get busier and busier, but that's a good thing, right? The busier, the better. I know. Going forward. It
is. This is a good busy. It's a fun busy. We're tied up with a lot of the other perfunctory exercises that we have to do as local governments and as administrators. But fortunately, I get to scratch my itch with working on these types of projects and working with my team on solving these problems and seizing opportunities in this space. And it's what keeps me energized. And eventually it's what's going to keep me healthy, because I look forward to working out in the sports.
That's right. That's true. You get to use your own facility. Yeah. Hey, we're here. We're going to show you how. You could give an example, like this is what you can look like if you just come to the sports.
I don't know about that. Everyone will say, is that how your hair gets so gray? And your beard gets... But I have been a part of selecting the equipment. It's one of those things like, that's not going to get used. No one uses that. We need more of this. We've been very strategic about the equipment that we're placing in there and utilizing the space. And we're going to implement what I'm calling a phone zone inside of the weight room. And that is this area where you could only have your phone there. You're not allowed to have your phone on equipment. I'm going to go ahead and let everyone know. I think most people who are serious about fitness will be excited about that. But what we've got are a lot of folks sitting on equipment, doom scrolling, and we want to turn this equipment over and get people healthy. And there's plenty of places in the Sportsplex for them to enjoy their phone and social media and actually human to human interaction. That's what this place is going to be about.
Absolutely.
So we've got a really cool design that we'll unveil within the weight room that I think will revolutionize health and wellness around resistance training. So, yeah, it's been fun to work on those types of nuances in this space. But this is going to be, again, one of the most premier, universal, or I should say, multi-disciplined facilities anywhere.
Well, it's very exciting, and people are getting excited just the interaction we get here on the show whenever we talk about this stuff. So it's great. It's great. And Tim will be on next week. So, hey, man, thanks for jumping on this month. What a great way to start the week. If people needed, slow getting going in the morning, just to have an interaction with Jonathan Sweet, and that's going to change everything. Everybody's ready to go now.
I appreciate that, Rick. I mean, it's Monday morning. That's a tough one to be energized about. I got a long week ahead of me, but this is the best way I can think of starting my week out is time with you, buddy.
Well, you may have a long week in front of you, but you bring money energy. You got Saturday energy for a Monday. I'll tell you that. So there you go. There you go.
Thanks so much.
All right, brother. And thank you again for everything you guys do here for the program. Thank you so much.
See you soon.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you, man. Take care. Jonathan Sweet joining us on the program. Pulaski County Chief Administrative Officer and Chief Economic Development Officer joining us here. Awesome stuff. Appreciate that. We'll keep you track of everything that's going on. And then we'll rock and roll. All right, we're going to send Todd Grantham his email here. We'll ask him about some of the stuff that we have talked about with Coach Elmo and get his take, because, you know, he's actively working in it every day in the college athletics environment today. We want to thank Family Fencing, sponsor of our studios. We mentioned it, 540-200-8294, McClellan Chiropractic, Mark Hunley, 155 Walters Drive. Thanks again, Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Travis Williams and Professional Door Incorporated, 540-391-0788 on the text line. Unbelievable what they've done. NRB Super Bowl over in Christiansburg, 540-382-5525, Lawson's Mobile Home Supply. Since 1997, 300 North Franklin Street in Christiansburg. Give James a call, 540-381-8011. Sundown Electric, give them a call. Go see them right in Elliston. One of the best reputations of any local business around. ReadySetFund.com. Check it out. Read up on it. Send Bob Christ an email, bobcrst11@gmail.com, and they'll let them tell you exactly how they can help. National Bank member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner of yours truly and this program. The attorney, Ryan Pry. You have to help me think of a good question here. Our BDST fan question of the week. Little River Heating and Air, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg, 540-553-2971. So there we go. All right, we segue into our final segment now with that gentleman. Speaking of Pulaski County's finest, it's Todd Grantham. What's going on, Coach?
Hey, bud. How you doing this morning?
Doing good, man. Just talking to Jonathan about everything going on in Pulaski County, sports and entertainment, man. There's a lot of excitement around.
Trying to get guys in shape, huh?
Yeah, they're going to start letting. Yeah, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool.
That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. First of all, how was the pond yesterday? Todd said, man, I was really jealous. He's got his grub, he's got his food, he's got his drink, and he's out there in the pond. How'd that go?
Look, man, I tell you what, that place is awesome. You know, ended up catching quite a few bass. This is the time of year to be fishing. You know what I'm saying? With the water, whether it be pre-spawn or post-spawn, and had a lot of fun out there. That's kind of my place to go to, man. So I really enjoy it.
Well, that's awesome, and you need the time because we're now in that time, right?
Yeah,
So that's great.
That was one of the reasons that I really like, UAB. It's only 3 hours and 15 minutes from my lake house. So my ability to leave on Friday after work and drive down and spend the weekend and drive back and get ready to go on Monday,
That's right. It's crazy. It's crazy. What's going on now this time of year? I know you told us about the overview of it. What else is going on with you guys right now?
So, last week, I had exit meetings with a lot of the guys and worked on some opponents. And this week, man, I got a busy week this week. Our quality control staff, they're still doing a couple breakdowns on opponents that we can watch during the course of the summer. This week, I'll start what I call our self-scout, which is basically looking at all of our calls from the spring and going through them and try to build the menu of what we have, to use, defensively, that kind of thing. I got Zach Arnett, the defensive coordinator at Mississippi State is actually coming up on Tuesday to visit a little bit. So that'll be fun. I enjoy visiting with him and his safeties coach, Keevy Thompson, who I've known for a long time being at Mississippi State. Those two guys are going to come up. And, that I will say that it's kind of unusual. Like back in the day when Phil and I were together, like we used to go fly all the way to Washington to visit with Jim Lambright in the University of Washington. Yeah. And it was kind of cool because you got your staff away and you'd go visit with other teams. But I'll be honest with you, when you do it that way, it takes a lot of time between travel and expenses. So like the one good thing that came out of COVID was our ability to understand how to use Zoom. So, I don't really visit other people now. Like what I end up doing is like for example, I visited with Brendan Staley a year ago, and I would watch the tape and then I would have my questions, ready. And then we just hook up on Zoom. And basically you can do it from your office. And I spend 3 hours and have a great conversation. And then I'm back home and I don't have to travel. So I will say the one good thing about COVID was our ability to understand how to use Zoom came about. And I still use that, So anyway, I got that on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, we have a fundraiser golf tournament. So I get to play. They're going to put me on one of the par threes, they said, so I can play with all the guys. So that way it's hard to meet everybody. Like I think there's 27 foursomes in the deal.
Oh, wow.
Something like that. So to be able to meet everybody, it's kind of difficult. So I'm just going to sit at one hole. That way I can, thank those guys for their contributions and be able to do that. And then basically Thursday and Friday back to self-scout. And, and of course, every day is recruiting from that standpoint. Every day you have something going on with recruiting and evaluating players and, looking at, potential official visits in the summer. So it'll be a action-packed week and, starting it off, visiting with you.
Well, it feels like you're at a good spot in terms of like football fervor, right? The program came back a few years ago, the excitement. What are you getting around the community? People have to be pumped up about what's going on.
Yeah, they're really excited. They're excited about the direction that Coach Mortensen has the program. They were really excited about the ability to attract some players. I mean, we feel like we were able, based upon the budget, to get some really good players in here. And, with where we are, and we got some good players coming back, and I even evaluated this before I came here. I mean, offensively, our quarterback, he's a really good player. Ryder is a guy that transferred in here from a D1 program, West Virginia. And he's a really good player. And we got some skilled guys around him. We got a running back from University of Georgia that's a big guy, man. He's 245 pounds. And, he's a little bit more of an old school guy from a downhill runner that's going to get you, 7, 8, 10 yards. Nothing says he can't bust it, and go the distance. But he's hard to tackle, and he's going to, on contact, he's going to get you another 3 to 4 yards. So, I feel good about, where we are, and people are excited. And, I just think it's important with the golf tournament, or even seeing people out at a restaurant, that you kind of, speak to them and appreciate their support, because we want to work to create a good atmosphere in the stadium.
Well, people always say how much of business gets done at these bigger corporations on the golf course, right?
That's right.
That's the way it works. That's the way it works. That's
the way
it works. So over the weekend, Kyle Whittingham said that he expects $50 million rosters to become the norm here coming up. How do you see that developing? And if that does indeed happen, is that going to start to get people's attention, or is this natural inflation that we're
it's
seeing?
The problem with the way the rules are set up. So it's real simple. I mean, it's real simple. Here's how much you make through TV. Here's how much money you earn in football. So this is what your salary cap should be. Okay. But basically people went around the rules to give what they call the NIL money to exceed the $20 million basically that you should have as a roster. And because of going around the rules with how they can portray the NIL, it's went to $50 million rosters. And that's where it is. That's why it's not sustainable. And, that's what's interesting about the whole, when people talked about the Rams in the draft, that the GM was looking at the draft from a long-term perspective, that at the end of the day, Stafford is a year-to-year guy, and we're eventually going to lose him. Okay. And, whether you like Ty Simpson or not, the next quarterback wasn't taken till the 3rd round. So he was the next best guy. Okay. So therefore, how do we set ourselves up to have a solid program? Because it's all about the quarterback. All right. You got to have the quarterback. So that's why the Rams took who they took with their pick, was because they felt like they had enough to be competitive this year, and they were going to be able to get someone that they can develop that they like. And the next highest guy did not go to the 3rd round. Okay. So there was a complete, it was the 13th pick in the draft, and the next player went in the 3rd round as a quarterback. So that tells you the separation between players and everything. So it's not sustainable. We'll just have to see how it flows. But, the thing about it is that some of those guys spend their money wisely, and some of those guys waste money too. So that'll be, a topic for another day maybe. But it's all about getting the right guys too, from that standpoint.
Yeah, it does feel like that, because they'll say one thing and then you see all the money that's spent on the other end of it. You're just kind of like, wait a minute, this isn't adding up, right? This doesn't add up.
Right. So, but and everybody's chasing the Indiana Kurt Signetti thing, right? But I looked at that in the off season or during the season, because I had some time, and it's really not a 2-year, like you say, it's a 2-year turnaround when he went there. It's really not. It really started at JMU. And what I mean is at JMU, he brought 15 players from JMU to Indiana. So the core of his starters at JMU, 15 of the 22 went with him to Indiana. So therefore, he knew 15 players he was bringing in already. Okay, he knew those guys, and because he knew them, and he could be frugal in his salary with them, knowing that, hey, I want to be competitive with the guys, but I'm going to overpay for guys, and I know what I get. Okay, so he's able to bring 15 guys, and actually one of them got drafted. And truthfully, when you think about it, you know, Virginia Tech can be thanked for that because they didn't recruit the state properly. And I mean, I hate to say it that way, but at the end of the day, if you look at the players that JMU was able to get to come there, should have been at Virginia Tech. Okay, but they didn't recruit those guys, so therefore JMU was able to get guys that were above their ability, above their school. Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
Yeah.
In other words, they should be at a Power 4 school, and they end up going to JMU, and then Signetti goes to Indiana, and then they have money, and then therefore they're able to go out and get a quarterback who was the first pick taken in the draft. Okay, along with some other players, and you get what you get right there. So, and my point is not it wasn't like, my point is he started that turnover while he was at JMU developing those players, because he brought in juniors or sophomores or juniors, 15 of them to Indiana, and those guys ended up being part of the core of what they had, and then they went out and got difference makers. You know, you got to have core guys wherever you are. And then you got to have playmakers, and one of your playmakers has to be the quarterback. And they were able to go out and get a quarterback, and you get what you got right there.
We had a situation over the weekend where Virginia Tech turned a receiver that had been at UVA. Now, you don't know the exact number. Your opinion, though, how much money do you think it takes for a kid who's been committed a long time, like he had UVA, all of a sudden go to the state rival? These are conversations that are these initiated by the agent, or how does that work sometimes? What do you think?
Well, you still probably have to have a relationship with the guy, meaning that there has to be some kind of interest in you to even talk that way, right? So there has to be some kind of interest in that. As far as the numbers go, if he has an agent, then it went that route. If he doesn't have an agent, then obviously it went to more the home traditional way of recruiting. So I'm not sure exactly how it would have went about, but obviously there was financial figures discussed, and they did enough to move the needle to change him, you know, at the end of the day.
Yeah, I just wonder how you see all these flips, if you will. It's not the same as the past, right? If somebody gets a call, hey, by the way, you want to make a little more money? Tell your guys to call us. Maybe we can talk.
And truthfully, that's why you can't look at these rankings right now as far as like, hey, like a school was like 10th in the country right now as far as committed guys. Like that doesn't mean anything, because as they get closer to fall and people kind of see their needs and things like that, there'll be changes in that commitment list. And those changes will occur because of the amount of money offered. It won't be because of relationship. It won't be because they're playing Fortnite. You know, back in the day, it was like, hey, you got to play Fortnite with these guys to get them, you know, get a relationship with them and all that. It won't be because of that. It'll be because you're able to financially offer them something that moved the needle for them.
Yeah, that's a great point. People think when they commit, they're already signing their NIL deal. They're already signing contracts, but that's
all they did. It's like NASCAR. Okay.
Sure.
Everybody knows now who the lead dog is. Okay. And everybody's going to come attack them. So it's like everybody in the New River Valley watches NASCAR, right? I mean, now everybody knows who's leading the race. And, and now what do I got to do to change your opinion? And that's how it'll be attacked.
Yeah. So guys are committed, but maybe not so much after all. That's what UVA just found out. So there you go. You go.
That's right.
Well, when you look at, you mentioned that with the Rams, that's interesting because you were in the league and you're right. And they realized, look, we're going to be pretty good. We're never going to draft up high enough to even next year. It's supposed to be a larger quarterback draft. We feel like we don't have to go through the maneuvering and maybe try to figure out trading. So let's go ahead and get our guy.
Yeah, that's
they're
why
in a
they did
win.
it.
They're in a win now mode. But to your point, if they really like this guy, I don't know if McVay liked him as much as the GM liked him.
There was a secret meeting that no one talks about between McVay and the Rams and Ty Simpson, and that never came about at all. He as a coach, you're always competitive and you want your pieces, right? But if you go back to the way they have addressed it, like they've not been a big draft team. If you look at Snead, like he's traded away first-round picks. That's how they got Stafford in the beginning. They very seldom do they have a first. So he doesn't value first-round picks like other people per se. And this is one of the few years they've actually had, draft guys to draft. And when you look at their team, and I know the receivers got issues right now, but they feel like he'll be ready by the time the season starts. But they felt like offensively they were good enough. I mean, if you go back to when they played Seattle, you had the 2-point play. If you go back, remember that 2-point play was a fluke. Well, if that 2-point play doesn't happen that way, everything changes from where they play that championship game, and everything changes. So you're down to that play. So I think that when they looked at everything, they felt like that offensively they were good enough. Defensively, I think they feel like, or I know they feel like they needed to improve a little bit. And they addressed that in free agency. Okay. They addressed that in free agency. So now you kind of have like a luxury pick. You know what I mean? It's kind of like insurance. So what do we do with this? Well, the most valuable person on the team right now in the National Football League is the quarterback. And we don't have one. If you look at their backups, the Stetson Bennett was a guy that was no longer but for mental health reasons, he's no longer there. The quarterback from the Raiders that was at San Fran, he's probably going to retire. So there's a lot of instability there with the backup. And certainly next year, if you take Stafford out, there's nobody. So it's a pretty simple deal to me, is they felt like they could address a major need. And that way they can keep their tradition and the state of their program going. That's the whole thing is if you look at teams that are really good, just look who their quarterback is, and you'll say, oh, that guy's a good player. If you look at teams that aren't very good, then you're not going to have a very good opinion of the quarterback. Just like Virginia Tech. You talk about Virginia Tech all the time. Well, as soon as you name the quarterback of Virginia Tech's team last year, right, wrong, or indifferent, there's a negative opinion of what he is from a playing standpoint.
Sure.
And that's just part of it. Now, that may be correct, that may not, but the fact of the matter is the two guys that get too much credit and take too much blame are the head coach and the quarterback, but that's the way it is.
A couple of questions for you here, Coach, from chat. How much does playing style have to do with recruiting, style of defensive 3-4-4-3, pro offense compared to the spread? So how much does the defensive style play into?
So defensively, first of all, that's all overrated. You play with 11 guys, okay? We're a 3-down team, we're a 4-down team, and I think it's important because of the spread, you have the ability to play both 3-down and 4-down relative to who you're playing. Okay, so that part of it is true. But I think you got to be multiple in your fronts to be able to not like, you don't want people to know, like, for example, hey, I'm always a 4-down team. Well, they can scheme you up. If I'm always a 3-down team, they can scheme you up. If I always put the 3 technique to the tight end, they can scheme you up. So therefore, I think you got to be multiple in your fronts as well as how you set your fronts. Okay. But in saying that, it all gets back to players. Okay. And I think the biggest thing that happens in college is you just recruit athletes, just recruit guys that have height, they have good size to them, they can grow and they can run. They're explosive, and then figure it out. So some years you may lean on being more of a 3-down team, and then some years you may lean on being more of a 4-down team. That's the difference between the National Football League and college, in my opinion, is, like, for example, I've been at schools where we would take a kid that was 215 pounds. He'd be like 6'3", 215. And then all of a sudden he gets into our program and he's lifting, regularly. He's eating 3 good meals a day plus snacks. He's getting all this food. All of a sudden the guy gains 35 pounds his first semester and he goes to 240 pounds. Okay. And that happens, and that happens. Guys that are 240 go to 270. Well, all of a sudden they've kind of outgrown their position, but they still have those physical characteristics as far as explosiveness, speed and those kind of things. So how do you get them on the field? Well, you start moving guys around to get your best 11 on the field. So at the end of the day, you recruit athletes. Now you're going to have a certain measurable at each position. In other words, you're going to need a certain type size for an interior defensive lineman, just like an edge guy, just like a corner. You're going to need a certain physical characteristics from height, weight, and what you perceive as speed standpoint. But at the end of the day, you just try to recruit athletes and then let them grow and develop them. And that's where the portals actually hurt a lot of guys, particularly the mid-level schools, because your ability to say, have that guy for a year, develop him, you may get 1 year out of him and he blows up, he's going to go in the portal. Okay. So it's not like I always tell my daughter's at Troy, she's getting ready to graduate in a week. And DeMarcus Ware would have never graduated from Troy in today's world. Okay. Because DeMarcus Ware, and actually there was another kid, I forget his name, they were first round picks, one by Dallas, one by the New York Giants. They both were on campus at Auburn High School when Tommy Tuberville was the head coach at Auburn. Okay. And they were safeties that were 210 to 15 pounds. And like they didn't separate themselves and they didn't recruit either guy. So what happened is DeMarcus ended up going to Troy. In his first year, he gained 40 pounds. Okay. And they're like, this dude's a guy. Like they knew, they're like, this dude's a guy. And then he was like, well, I got a guy that's better than me back at my high school. They're like, who is it? Well, they gave the other guy's name. He was drafted by the Giants. And they looked at like, shit, this guy's pretty good. So they took him. So Troy ended up with back-to-back first-round picks in the National Football League because of that. Well, in this day and age, Auburn would have seen that mistake and they would have just bought the kid and he'd have came back. Okay. So, those kind of things that's where the mid-level schools are going to really struggle is you're going to develop a guy and find a guy. But, the way the big schools are set up, for example, in the SEC, and I'm sure the ACC is like this as well, is the personnel side has a high school side, which evaluates high school prospects. Okay. But then they also have a professional side or a college side that is evaluating the college guys to understand where the top receiver is, where the top interior D lineman is, where the top edge guy is, who are the top quarterbacks. And they'll watch them throughout the course of the year. So that way, when they get to the very end, if we need that position, hey, who's the top, who's the top left tackle? Well, here are the top three guys. And you go get those guys. So that's how it's being done right now.
Leotis McKelvin, that was the other guy.
I got you.
Yeah, Leotis McKelvin. All right, one more to let you go here. Something that was proposed to them back, I think, around 2006, Virginia Tech and the SEC. You think they'd be a good fit today in the SEC? They said no then because they'd just gotten into the ACC, and the SEC had not developed into this, big marketing money machine. But what do you think now? Could Tech find their niche in that league? I guess he's talking from a football perspective.
Yeah, I think that if they did, they would have to change their resources of what they're spending. And I know that, this past year they made a commitment or publicly announced that they were upgrading their pay and their facilities and things like that. But you would have to upgrade salary for coaches. Okay, you'd have to upgrade with the portal. You would have to upgrade the amount of money you're spending on a roster if you're going to do that. From a state of Virginia recruiting base, you have good enough players in the state of Virginia that hey, you could recruit that state and go be competitive because the state of Virginia averages about 10 to 12 guys a year in the NFL draft. Okay, so you're going to have that, but I think you would have to make a better commitment than you have right now to that sport to be able to be competitive. Because when I tell you it is competitive every day, it is get after it every day, and I'm talking about from everything from recruiting standpoint to developing players. It's really competitive. So that part of it would have to change.
So that would be the biggest thing. You're talking about $50 million rosters. That's what Tech would have to do.
And not only that, but if you look at the salary of the coaches, not only that, you get what you pay for there too, from the standpoint of if you look at the salary of the coaches, say, and I'm not sure about Franklin's staff, but Price staff, if you look at the salary of those coaches and you said, all right, let's go look at Alabama's salary or let's go look at Ole Miss's salary, it's not close. And so therefore, you know, if you're competing for someone that you feel is an SEC or a higher level coach, and they got a choice between going to Alabama or Ole Miss making this salary or Virginia Tech making this salary, they're going to go to one of those other schools, because right now it's probably 3 times as much from a salary standpoint. So not only are you going to have to upgrade, you know, from a roster management on the coaching side, you're going to have to upgrade your roster from a personnel side too, from the staff as far as coaches, recruiting people, and how much you're paying them, because all those guys get paid pretty well as well.
And I guess then the question becomes, does the financial dividends pay off, right?
That's
the Big
right.
Ten just, you know, and that's the, you know, who knows? I don't know the answer to that. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Wow. Well,
Yep.
good stuff, man. That's good stuff as you lay out your week for us as we get ready to go here. So that's good. That's good. But yeah, it will take a while, and the ACC is not going to provide the kind of revenue that they need from a media standpoint. That you know, that they.
So, you know, they would have to make a major upgrade in what I've seen over the last 2 years.
Yeah, yeah. Well, all right, brother. Appreciate you, man. Good stuff as always. Have a great week.
You guys take care. See you
All right,
next week, bud. Take care.
Yes, sir.
Bye-bye.
All right, man. There you go. Todd Grantham, defensive coordinator, Alabama Birmingham Blazers. That's a dragon, you know. Blazers. That's right, TP. And Eric, therein lies the question, right? This isn't the world of 2005, 2006, when the SEC called up Jim Weaver and said, hey, we were really thinking about, I know you just got in the ACC. Would you like to come to our league? No, we're good. It was a different world. Everybody looks at that as like Jim Weaver's big mistake, but the SEC did not look like it did now. We didn't have all this television money. And Tech was very, very – they worked a long time to be there and to be part of the ACC. So that it would come down to more commitment. I think fans would go nuts, right? You would. Those of you who are Tech fans, if there was an official – here comes the readjustment of the leagues. And the SEC, let's say they want to go to 24. What do they need to add? How many? 6? Whatever it would be. And they say, we would like Virginia Tech, you know, their tradition, their history, the fan base, James Franklin. Come in. Tech fans would be head over heels, I'm sure. The realism of it, what would they be competitive in? I don't know the answer to that. Long term? Yeah, that's right, Prometheus. That's right. It was all about Miami and Florida State. You're right. That was the Georgia and Alabama at the time. Even though Miami was coming out of it, we didn't know that at the time. But, yeah, it was Florida. That's right. You wanted to be in the league. Clemson, too. Hey, we're in the league with Clemson, Florida State, and Miami. Why would we leave? So Tech gets a lot of heat for that, but I really don't. That's revisionist history. They made the right decision at the time. This was, this is 22 years later, 20 years later, and it's different now. Doesn't mean that was the wrong decision. Just like it wasn't the wrong decision that Whit Babcock hired Justin Fuente. At the time, it was a no-brainer. He was being lauded across the country for finding the guy, the hot group of 5 coach that's going to come in and he's going to set this thing upside down, right? Didn't work out. The best line I've ever heard Whit Babcock say was Justin Fuente was the 5-star recruit that just didn't pan out. Same thing about that decision Jim Weaver made to stay put in the ACC, right? So I don't hold that against them at all. It would be different now, sure, with the uncertainty of the ACC. Hell, we hear it every year. The Florida State, notice they've stopped talking. They haven't been successful on the field since they got snubbed out of the national title or to be part of the national title, right? But yeah, I think now would be a no-brainer. Just because of TV money alone, absolutely, they'd be interested. Moore says, in my opinion, the missing element in Todd's assessment is academics. ACC is light years ahead of the SEC in academic standards, or at least when Tech went in the ACC. That's very true. That's very true. And that's where, again, it comes into part of the decision process. And we're talking hypotheticals here. There's no new rumors. I don't want people to show up on message boards. Well, heck, did you hear on Big Dog? They're saying Rick said that the SEC offered Tech. No, these are hypotheticals. That's how quickly things get turned around. But again, we're looking at it from an athletics perspective. You're exactly right. It's like the new president. We look at it from an athletics perspective. The new president's not coming to Tech because of athletics. 92% of all the monies that's created by Virginia Tech's away from athletics. 92%. How many people do you have to convince if you take yourself out of the academic realm? I know the football money would be, I mean, Tech's got 37,000 students. They're on their way to 40,000. How many more students do they need? How many more students can this area, perform? So I don't know the answer to that, but I will say this, that there's no doubt that if you looked at it from a pure football standpoint and athletic standpoint, it would be extremely enticing given what we know. And we don't think about it now because the footprint naturally is more SEC, but the Big Ten would even be more potentially of a boon. The Big Ten has surpassed the SEC in money distributed and in winning type championships. All right, great stuff today. Thanks to our guests. Thanks to Coach Elmo, Jonathan Sweet from Pulaski County Sports Entertainment, and Todd Grantham. We'll be back tomorrow for the Tuesday edition. Everybody take care. I hope we made your Monday a little bit better, and I know you made mine a little better. Please subscribe, like, and share the channel, and we will see you tomorrow on the Tuesday edition. Take care.